Hello, legends. Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two NFL picks to break down for you. So if that sounds exciting, let's jump straight into it. But first, let's quickly do a recap of yesterday's NFL picks. We ended up going 3-2 on the slate. First up, we had Jackson Smith Njigba over 91.5 receiving yards. At halftime, things weren't looking good. He only had about 30 receiving yards. But once the game opened up, he went off in the second half and finished with 92 yards, cashing midway through the fourth quarter. Next, we had Kyron Williams over 62.5 rushing yards. That one was pretty much sweat-free. He had around 53 yards heading into the third quarter and finished with 84 rushing yards. Easy cash there. Then we had Josh Jacobs over 77.5 rushing yards. Bit of a dicey one early, but he pulled through in the fourth quarter, finishing with 86 rushing yards. For our fourth play, we had Breece Hall over 18.5 rush attempts. Looked good at first, but the Jets completely flipped the script in the second half and went heavy on the passing game due to being down. The read was solid, game flow just didn't go our way. And then finally, we had Tyler Warren over 50.5 receiving yards. Got an early 13-yard reception in the first quarter, but after that, he disappeared from the offense. Only 3 more targets the rest of the way, as the other wide receivers smashed their prop lines. Definitely a bad read from me on that one. So that's a recap. Now let's get into today's picks. As always, all my plays are by Props Madness, the number one tool out there for player prop analysis. Props Madness just gets better and better as the season goes on. So, with the first pick, I'm going with Kimani Vidal over 35.5 rushing yards, and here is why. Hampton has been activated from the injury list, but is still questionable play. Even if he's in, I'm expecting him to be limited. Meanwhile, the Eagles' defense has been awful against the run lately, allowing the third most rushing yards over the last 3 games, and in that span, they've led Swift go for 125, Monagai go for 130, and Williams go for 87. So I don't see much changing here. The Eagles also run man defense at the 11th highest rate, and Kimani Vidal averages 5.01 yards per carry. He's also been great at home lately. In his last 3 games, he has been averaging 112.7 yards per game. I don't expect these numbers to be as high with Hampton in, but I still can definitely see him going over 35.5 rushing yards today. And for the second play, I'm going with Saquon Barkley under 70.5 rushing yards, and here is why. The Chargers have been elite at limiting rushing yards at home, ranking the 4th best run defense by yards allowed. They also run zone coverage at the 4th highest rate, and Barkley is only averaging 3.43 yards per carry against zone. Also, Barkley struggles on the road. He's only gone over this line 1 time in the last 6 games and is averaging 52.5 rushing yards in road games. With the Chargers' strong pressure rate and 2 of the Eagles' offensive linemen out, expect Hurts to rely more on quick passes, and that means Barkley most probably gets more involved in the passing game compared to being on the ground. So that's it for the picks today. However, let's go through some leans. I can see that my leans have been a lot more stronger recently, so I just thought I'd share them with you. So, starting with the Chargers, the Herbert injury changes a few things, but keep in mind he was dealing with that left hand injury last game too. Watching the highlights against the Raiders, you can see he is running a lot more shotgun passes to protect his hand. That leads me to think that Gadsden under 3.5 receptions is a strong lean. He's only had 3, 2, and 1 receptions in his last 3 games. And even against the Raiders, when Herbert got hurt, he was only targeted 2 times for 1 reception. Gadsden is mainly a deep threat, and Herbert won't have the time to make those long throws. Instead, I can see him leaning on McConkey and also Allen, more receiving yards. So maybe a nice 2-man parlay could be good here. So I was thinking of McConkey for 40 receiving yards and Allen for 30 receiving yards, giving us a plus 240, plus 240, plus 140 odds on the play, which sounds pretty good. I might think about betting that closer to the game, but not 100% sure on it yet. Now, switching to the Eagles, I was looking at Goddard for over his longest reception of 15.5. Titans have been torching the Chargers defense recently, with guys like Bowers going for 27, Munt for 16, Freiermuth, Washington, and Helm all going for 15. My only concern is how the Eagles use him today, especially with the 2 offensive linemen out. I can either see him being used as a blocker to help with the defense. Help with the offense for Hurts. However, if he does run some routes, definitely over 15.5, longest reception is a very, very good line. He is over this line in 7 of the last 11 games this season, averaging 19.4. So the Boogies do have the line lower due to that. However, just depends on how the game flow goes with that one. And then also circling back to Barkley for his receiving yards, I could definitely see him going over 16.5. Again, just depends on how they use him. If they do still use him in the rushing yards, I just don't see him going over either, especially with the Chargers running zone at the 4th highest rate. He's only averaging 1.0 yards per route run against zone defense in the receiving yards, so not too sure. You can maybe look at his receptions, but 2.5 is pretty high. Genty did have 6 last game, so maybe, but could be nice. It is pretty juiced at the moment. Actually, let's look at his receiving yards when he's received 2 receptions. Let's see what that looks like. He is over this in 6 of the last 9 games, averaging 28.2 in those games. Actually, I could definitely see this happening. I actually might even bet this, to be honest. But anyway, I'll wait till closer to the game to see how that one is. AJ Brown's lines pretty high because of the last 2 games. He's been smashing it. He only gets 1.75 yards per route run. Defense, very, very good against wide receiver ones. Only 3 of the last 15 have gone over. But AJ Brown is hard to stop, so I'm not too sure. Devonta Smith mainly plays as a slot receiver. They do allow the 4th least targets to slot receivers, so definitely Devonta Smith I'd stay away from. What else we got here? I've talked about Gadsden, talked about McConkey, talked about Allen. Quinton Johnson, maybe for the over. They do allow a lot of receiving yards to Johnson. He'll be the 3rd in line to get receptions. Rank against the position is it's not the best. But yeah, maybe he could go over. I would lean to the over, not the under really there. Let's look at quarterbacks. Herbert, like I was saying before, the injury, not too sure on his passing. His rushing yards only 19.5. 4 of the last 8 quarterbacks have gone over the same thing, his injury. I would lean the over, but it's not a strong lean. They do. The graph looks really good actually for that. That's another one I could be tempted on. His passing yards, again, actually, this one looks better, to be honest. Like, it's only his left hand that's injured, so his right hand is still good. He can get those passes, definitely. Wide receivers have been smashing it for targets. Maybe could look at his rush and receiving yards if they have it. Gotta find it. Pass and rush. Sorry, pass and rush, not rush and receiving. 232.5. He's over this line in 8 of the 12 games. Yeah, that could be a good see, good lean. Hurts, passing yards. I just don't see him getting it, but it's going to become a passing script later in the game because I see the Chargers actually winning this game, to be honest. I don't get how the Eagles are favorites here. His rush attempts under, I could definitely see that happening. They allow the 4th least rush attempts in the game, in the league. They do a lot of yards per carry, so under his rush attempts could be a very good lean. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for the leans. I did also have a look at Eagles team total under 21.5. I just don't see them scoring more than 3 touchdowns today. I can see them getting close to getting a touchdown, but I just don't see them like actually finishing there. So yeah, that's pretty much for the leans. If you made it this far and you're enjoying the daily content, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload, and smash that like button if you've enjoyed this video. Good luck with your bets today. Stay safe. And as always, I'll catch you in the next video.